Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, organizers, for allowing me to speak today. I moved to a more human sort of topic from what the first speaker, Professor Ulong, has spoken today. And I'll try to make up some of the time, so that we try to be on time. So I'm going to talk about well-being, actually, the focus, well-being. Now, well-being is a more holistic measure of human progress, actually. When we say human being, meaning being human, but when we say well-being, you're being well, so to speak. So well-being, being a more holistic measure, is fast catching on in the world today, especially in Europe and in the more developed countries. Malaysia has started, but has not focused on well-being as one of the important index of human development and progress. So it is my fervent hope that one day Malaysia will also have its own system of assessing the well-being of the population. So today, I'm going to stress on the significance of the social dimension in human development itself, and how social capital itself contributes substantially. We say that, we often say that when you increase in income, then you will improve your well-being, and then you become successful. But people in well-being sort of research say that you have to be, your situation, you must be on a better level of well-being first. And then only you can work on your income and become successful. So it is a little bit of the reverse. The social dimensions that are involved in well-being are measurable. I can show you later what have been the measures that have been used. And sustainable development will have to begin with well-being being embedded in the economic framework. So sustainable development, sustainable livelihood, you must have, I consider that you must have well-being in the framework itself. Okay. You must have heard of this GDP, gross domestic product, has been the term that has been used for the past 60, 70 years. Started with this guy, Simon Kuznets. Simon Kuznets, when he was around 34, 35 years old, presented a paper to the Congress of America. He had been measuring this national income. So, the gross domestic product has been the benchmark, has been the measure. But nowadays, people have realized that income and gross domestic product are inadequate, actually, to really assess the situation where the people are, actually. So I want to go back to the basics. Basic is the word development. The word development is from French. In French, it started with voleper. Voleper meaning to wrap, terbungkus, terbungkus. Development means to unwrap, So this is quite beautiful. To us social scientists, it's quite beautiful. Meaning, when you talk about human development, you are revealing the potential of the human being. Okay? So you try your best in order to reveal what's inside the person. What can he do, no matter who he is or she is. Yeah, whether handicapped or KU and all that, there's some potential in this person. So the crux of human development, we say that we want to develop that human person in there, so that that person also enjoy life, and also deserve the benefits that given to people. Yeah. And then another way is if you you look at this, the human being is made of several components, kan? The soul, body, intelligence, emotions, social nature. All of this to us, when we say we want to have a holistic development, we say that we want to develop in all these areas. Okay, spiritual development, physical, intellectual, emotional, social. Then only you have a human being of fantastic character. So we don't want any one of that to be left behind. Well-being, in Arabic, there are two often words that are often used. One is farah. Farah is joy, and sa'adah. Sa'adah is happiness. Happiness is mentioned twice in the Quran. But happiness is the higher level, yeah, the highest level, especially when it is in heaven. Okay, why and what and why well-being is important is for many reasons. It is now found that it indicates, as I said just now, more holistic. The basic dimensions are the social aspect, economic, psychological, spiritual. Yeah, you can also say objective and subjective. Objective means things that are easily measurable: income, education. These are objective, but they are also subjective. Subjective in terms of spiritual, psychological, and again, GDP measure alone is inadequate. For any country, we say that one of the aims of any country is, of course, to ensure the well-being of the people. And I think even our country, our government itself, has not been paying much attention to this aspect. Actually, I think they should, because a lot of our resources are also spent on ensuring that these other aspects within the well-being expenditure is being used there. But then we just measure the income and GDP. Whereas people might be quite contented on the other aspects. Yeah? So we have come across many sections of the Malaysian population. Yeah? Their homes may not be really very good. The environment is not that good, for example. But when we ask them in terms of are you happy? Are you happy with your life? Are you happy with your station? They are satisfied. They are contented. Okay. You can look at this also, different dimensions, as I alluded to just now. Again, I want to stress that now is the time that we have to now start measuring what once people say may not be measurable. But when things are not measured, things do not become important. Only measurable things will get into policy. So that's why it is very important. If you don't measure things, it doesn't get into the policy. Yeah? Measuring is governing itself. So now you have to develop these indicators and start measuring. Yeah? That's our contention. We'll try to listen to. Leading eye.
Well, the discussions in that direction are already underway. Several governments, for instance, have provided, you might call it a checklist, when they decide, let's consider program A or program B, let's not just look at the impact that it has on GDP, but let's look at what impact it has on sustainability, environmental, economic, social, political sustainability, what impact it has on different groups within our society, what effect does it have on social connectedness or other measures of well-being. So it's actually being brought into consideration in a number of different countries. First, the crisis brought out the fact that GDP is not even a good economic measure. The United States looked like it was doing well before the crisis, but we now realize that those GDP numbers were in some ways phony. 40% of all investment was based on real estate investment, and those real estate prices were bubble prices. 40% of all corporate profits were in the financial sector, and the financial numbers were all made up. But we also realized that GDP number didn't tell us about sustainability. That growth was based on debt. People were living beyond their means. 80% of Americans were spending about 110% of their income. It just wasn't sustainable. And so we need a metric that tells us whether that growth that occurs is sustainable. What people care about, what makes them feel well, satisfied, happy, whatever word you want to use, is not just income. Income is important. Let's not ignore the importance of income. But there are other dimensions, something that was brought out actually a number of years ago when I was chief economist at the World Bank. We went and talked to the poor. We did a project called the Voices of the Poor. And what the poor talked about, just like most citizens talk about, they care about security, they care about voice, political voice, they care about jobs, connectedness. So there are many other things besides income. And if we just focus on income, we may actually undertake policies that undermine well-being. We might take policies that might increase income, but actually worsen the environment or, in a broader sense, lower standards of living. We've been very pleased at the reception that the report has had. Of course, the report was based on earlier work that had been done in a number of places, and most importantly at the OECD. And the work has been then carried on by INSEE, the French Statistical Office, and by the OECD, and by governments in a number of different countries. The simple message of the report that what you measure affects what you do is one that I think people all over have come to understand. The other message that GDP is not a good measure of well-being has also been understood.
Okay, now we people in well-being together with people who are doing sustainable development, sustainable livelihood. We do concur with the idea that for any development sort of work, we use this term triple bottom line criteria. okay? Meaning financial, social, and environmental. But we would like to add also +1, another one, another one. Because I work with University Islam Malaysia, we do approach this from this perspective too. So we say triple bottom line +1, meaning if we look at the financial consideration, we look at the social impact, environmental impact of any development work, plus of course the spiritual aspect. So one of the global standard now that is being used to measure well-being is what is called the Social Progress Index. The Social Progress Index, American, whereby it look at 3 important dimensions: basic human needs, foundations of well-being, and opportunity. From these 3, they derive 12 important factors. Basic human needs have 4, foundations of well-being, another 4, and opportunity, another 4. Okay? And we see that, sorry, it's too small, Malaysia ranks number 50 on this Social Progress Index. Number 50. These are the details. So, in many of these world sort of surveys, we are around there, 50, 40, So we want to be better than that, of course. Another one that is being produced every year is what we call the Legatum Prosperity Index by the Legatum Prosperity Institute of London. Annually they produce this index, and in here Malaysia is ranked number 38 out of 149. Looking at economic quality, business environment, governance, education, health, safety. Personal freedom is one thing that brings us down for Malaysia, and social capital. Okay. So, what I want to show here is that things are measurable. So well-being is measurable, and Malaysia I think has got to start doing this. My dream is of course that every district in Malaysia will know its own well-being level. Okay, thereby the government infrastructure will understand, how to distribute resources. Now, for example, I'm taking this as an example. Our neighbor, Indonesia, has done this. They call it ikrar. And in this ikrar, they have already calculated the well-being levels of all the different provinces. Yes, I think it's amazing. To me, they are 2 or 3 steps ahead of Malaysia. West Java, second is Bali, and third is quite a surprise, is Kaltim, Kalimantan Timur. So with this, I think it helps the government's infrastructure how to better govern and better rule. So one day perhaps Malaysia will have this mapping of well-being. So meanwhile, when I was in UPM, we also started to do a few studies looking at well-being. We have been trying several models. We have been trying testing several of these dimensions to see whether they are stable dimensions to be measured. Yeah. So one of the studies that we did, we looked at several districts. On the physical thrust, in terms of districts, also quite surprising that more of the rural, the well-being is higher. Generally, well-being is higher. Rural, higher. Malays, people with slightly higher income, more than 750. Individual trust. Individual trust is very, very interesting because Kuala Terengganu is the highest. When you ask people individually what is their level of well-being, Kuala Terengganu tops. And then Yan, Batapat, and going down to Sabah. Yeah. Kinabalu, Kota Kinabalu is the worst in our survey. Rural, Malay, males, yeah, and more than the B40. B40 is bottom 40. Yeah. Which groups are better for the social trust? Social? Well, this is as expected. As expected, yeah. Sarawak, Kuching. Sarawakians feel that they are more socially connected. So the social capital of Sarawak is much higher. It's much higher. Bumiputra Sarawak, the highest. I've also done one case study of Serendah. Serendah, we intend to continue doing this study for the next 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. We are now negotiating to find funding for the next 10 years, so that we can look at this community every year. We are copying this strategy because there is a Harvard study. A Harvard study has been doing a study in the Boston area for the last 75 years. Yeah? They've looked at the community for the last 75 years. Several studies, yeah, together, medical, social, and that. If you Google, you look up Framington, Framington, Framington. You see, in the Framington study, they are now looking at the third generation. The third generation. All our recommendations about what to do with cholesterol, what to do with triglyceride, what to do with this heart condition and all this, all is from the Framington study. Mostly are from the Framington study because they have been looking at, now the third generation. So in this UIM Serendah Wellbeing Index study, we are looking also at several dimensions under objective and subjective. And we are now begin to come up with our own index. And on overall, we found that it's about 63 out of 100. Kalau based on the country ladder. The country ladder is a global measure of progress. Below 4 is struggling. 4 to 6 is surviving. 7 and above is flourishing. That is the country ladder measure. Yeah? Another one that I want to introduce, associated with this well-being, is what we call this PALMA ratio. Yeah? People in economics are quite well versed with what they call this Gini coefficient. Yeah? Gini coefficient. But we are promoting this Palmer ratio with a strong recommendation suggestion by World Bank. The Palmer ratio measures, gets the ratio of all the income of the top 10% of the population and the bottom 40%. Okay? So when you compare these two, the figure should be 1. Should be 1. Yeah? Meaning the income of the top 10% and the income of the bottom 40% should be equal. Should be equal. That implies that there's better distribution of the benefits of the country and overcomes this problem of inequality. Because we have problems of inequality in terms of urban, rural, inter-ethnic, ethnic, linguistic, yeah? Regional, sub-regional, many reasons for inequalities. So if you are able to measure it, I think it's a very good indicator that we can adopt within our well-being index development. And the Scandinavian countries, they are almost all of them are reaching a ratio of 1. Yeah? Reaching a ratio of 1. Because if you look at the ranking of the happiest countries in the world, for this year, 2016, number 1 is Switzerland, yeah? And then it will be followed up by all these Scandinavian countries, Norway, Sweden, etc. Yeah? Malaysia will rank about 47, 48 happiest countries in the world. So, all right, we have this well-being. We start measuring. So what do we do next? So scholars of well-being, people who are practicing well-being, they talk about the wheel of well-being, whereby we concentrate on at least 6 items. Taking care of our body, being active, taking care of our mind, keep learning, you know. You see, that study, I told you about that study, Harvard study, the 75-year study, revealed a lot of these answers. Revealed a lot of these answers. For example, you know, people who have been learning, studying and all that, by the time they reach about 75 years old or 80 years old, their well-being is much higher than the others, than the control group. Spirit is very important. Giving. You feel better, you feel good by giving, you know. Yeah. People, they need to connect. Need to connect with the community, need to connect with your neighbors. Yeah? Because this enhances the social capital. Social capital, human relations, yeah, very important contributor. Okay. Place to take notice. We have to take notice what to do. Yeah? Water is rising on the UMT campus. So what? What do you do? You know? So this indicates also the well-being of the person. Our planet. We have to take care of our planet. So the main proponent of this is Professor Seligman. Seligman uses 4 important things: positive emotion, engagement, positive relations, yeah, meaningful life, and accomplishment or achievement. Are the major indicators of well-being. Yeah, of course, number 1, you must have this positive emotion. You are engaged. You are engaged within your organization, within your community, in your country. Yeah? Relationship is very important with siblings, friends, your classmates. This actually will determine your well-being. Loneliness is a poison for well-being. Yeah? They say no man is an island, or no woman is an island. You cannot remain alone. Yeah? If you remain alone, your well-being will crumble. Meaningful. Things are meaningful to you. Whatever you want to do, you feel meaningful. There is something that you want to do. And then only you have this earn achievement. You earn your achievement, yeah? Then people are on a better well-being. Okay. I've been warned, I've been warned. Not much time back. Okay. So we are proposing that an economy, what we call a well-being economy. Well-being economy meaning that you have to, as I alluded to just now, we have to integrate this idea about well-being. Yeah? Well-being, a flourishing society, you know, with little inequality. Yeah? Inequality. I think the figure is that somewhat like 5%. 5% of the top Malaysians, 5% of the population in Malaysia owns about 80% of the wealth of our country. So that's not good. Eh? That's not good. So, what do we do? What do we do? Number one is, even through this keynote, we need for this buy-in. People will now have to buy into this idea. Less talking, less rhetoric. We want to develop better measures with policy implications. What really does matter to people must now be measurable, and we strive for useful and reliable tested measures. Inshallah, then Malaysia will have its own dimensions, and then we'll be able to assess the well-being of the population. Yeah? Last, what can government do? What can government do? First is government will have to measure what matters to our population. What to our population, what really matters? What makes them feel that they are on a well-being scale? For example, our group has found that spiritual is important. For Malaysians, spiritual well-being is important. For Malaysians, unity is important. For Malaysian, freedom is important. So this have to be inputted into the measure. Yeah? Creating a well-being economy, as I said just now, promotes well-being. We have to reclaim our time. Why? Why do I say this? You know? You see, in the old paradigm, we are working very hard. We work hard for what? We work hard, so hard that we work in order to get more higher pay, in order to get promoted. That's not the way actually. So we work hard in order to have more spare time, more quality time. Then you have better well-being with you, yourself, your families, and all that. You know, this is what it's meant. We have to reclaim our time. We have been working too hard. So what? For what? Yeah? For more stress, higher pay. But we'll have lost the time. We have lost the time. Yeah? Education system that promotes flourishing. Focus on health system, complete health. Because as I said just now, that on well-being, you have to take care of your body. Yeah? Early years of parenting is, of course, very important. I'm trying to generalize it. Materialism, promote authentic advertising. This is getting into our system. Getting into our system, yeah? Because everything is materialism. Yeah? Everything that you see. The advertising is not really genuine. Sometimes not genuine in order to promote the goodness of something. The advertising is more in terms of trying to make people buy more and for them to make more money. So the general principle here is that a bazaar, the Proton Perodua bazaar, and a BMW, I think it serves the same purpose. Serves the same purpose of getting you to a place in time. Of course, except that the BMW you drive in more comfort. That's all. That's all. And you have to strengthen civil society. Yeah, civil society has got to be strengthened because social capital, relations are very important for well-being. Without, you must have a system whereby government and civil society can interact between the two in order to ensure safety, freedom. People feel that they can do what they want in the country. Yeah? We have to move towards that in order to have a better well-being for our nation. So, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.